Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Back on Track, Achieving Healthy Weight Loss. I'm your host, Dr. Alicia Shelley, and I'm so glad that you're here today because I have a treat for you. I have Dr. Tennille Brew, or Coach Brew, is what she goes by, who's here today to talk about not only her weight loss journey, but how she is helping people to have overall wellness in their health. And she helps all professionals. She has lost over 100 pounds over these last several years. And so she's here to tell us all the things on how it happened. So welcome, Coach Brew. Thank you so much for coming and talking with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just so happy to be here and to support the people that listen to your podcast.
Thank you. Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm in the process of, well, like I was telling you earlier, I have many hats. Along with being a physician, I do obesity medicine, I do family medicine. I also am a health and life coach, and I'm a yoga teacher of all things. So I really want to make sure that I am creating programs and offerings that take care of the whole person. And I do that through my company called Brew Wellness Collective. So we create different courses, and at some point we'll have a group program where we are literally doing a lot of mind body work to keep people calm and just bring joy in everyone's experience. We're all a little burned out through the pandemic, through all the different things. So trying to find ways of de-stressing, calming down, doing gentle movement, meditating, finding balance is what I try to achieve in the people I work with.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we're so excited that you're here today. And we start off, can you tell us a little bit more about your weight loss journey? What brought you to the point where you're like, I need to lose 100 pounds? Like what happened? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, so that's a very good question. So my weight loss journey is honestly a journey of me learning about myself. So I started out, my highest weight, I believe it was in the 270s, 273-ish. I remember going to a doctor's appointment. I can't even remember which doctor this was, but at that doctor's appointment, he was like, you're going to go into healthcare, but you're unhealthy. He said it in a very mean way. It wasn't, in these nice words. But even though he said that in a mean way, it got me to start thinking, am I doing things that are helpful to myself? At that time, I did not know about nutrition. I didn't know about eating right. I lived off of soda, orange soda, peach soda, grape soda, water. Never would I drink that. The only vegetables I like were like green beans and greens, barely like that. But I said that I'm not going to do anything super drastic. I'm just going to start little by little and seeing if I can change a little bit, what can happen. Mm-hmm. And that's what started my journey.
So starting with a little bit at a time. Now, do you remember like what steps you started with, or what was maybe one of the things you started with?
Yes. So one of the things I started with was cookies. So where I was, we were getting free cookies and I was eating them every day. So I literally said, I'm not going to eat the free cookies anymore. That's where I started. I just stopped eating the free cookies that were available to me. Then my next thing was, okay, everyone keeps talking about this water. Let me just try. I'm not going to stop drinking my soda. I'm going to try to drink a little bit more water. So I just added in a little bit more water to what I did. And then my next step was, well, I don't really like vegetables, but I do like them. I only like green beans and greens. Let me just make sure that I can have that available at all times. So I didn't know how to cook. So I had to ask my mom, my sister, to literally make me green beans and greens so I could have it to eat when I had meals. So that's where I started.
And the funny thing is you bring up a lot of good points. The clients that we see, we have people who do not like water at all. Do not like the taste, do not like the thought. So the fact that you're like, I'm not gonna stop doing what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna add a little bit of healthy to it is brilliant. And then on top of that, you're like, hey, I'm just gonna stop eating the free cookies. Doesn't mean I won't have ice cream. I'm just gonna stop eating the small things. So you took kind of the baby steps to change. And did you see any type of weight loss with just doing those 3 baby steps?
I did see some initial weight loss with that. I wasn't tracking it as intensely as I do now. Now, literally, I've been using Fitbit. So if you ask me what my weight was in probably 2018, May 2018, I could go back and tell you. But at that point, I really wasn't super tracking it. But I definitely noticed a difference in my clothes. I remember when I graduated from grad school and I was looking for a dress, and I kept looking at different sizes that were smaller. I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't notice that my body was smaller until I got that graduation dress. I'm like, this is multiple size smaller than what I was before.
Wow. So you didn't even realize you had lost weight just by making those 3 steps, 3 steps. And for those who may not have been turning in, she stopped eating cookies. She started drinking water. And then the third one was, what was the third step you said? The what?
Making sure I had green beans and greens.
Adding green beans and greens. So just adding just small things, it made a difference. And I'll be honest with you, I have patients who do not like vegetables, don't like vegetables at all. And so you're not alone. You're not alone in making that change. And then for those who are listening too, if you don't like vegetables, that's okay. Just eat the ones you like and incorporate people to come and make it and cook it for you. So you had it available. So you had your accountability partners. With just making those 3 changes, was there any challenges that you faced just starting with those 3 things in the initial phase of your weight loss?
Well, because most of the time when people are losing weight, it's, oh, you have to have this intense diet and intense exercise and all these different things. So I kept feeling like I wasn't doing enough, but I knew I was doing what I was capable of doing at that time.
Gotcha.
Even to this day, I am not the person to do a super drastic, I'm now a vegan tomorrow. No, it's going to take me a while to transition. I need some time. So the one major hurdle was I was still living life. Like I still ate fast food. I still did some of those things, but I had this goal of being healthier, but I knew for myself, I couldn't jump too far because that would be too much of a difference from where I was starting.
Gotcha. All right. So now that you had made those baby steps, what was the next thing you did, or what was the next phase of your weight loss?
The next phase of my weight loss is I knew at some point I was going to have to move my body. I had told, it was in grad school, I remember having a conversation with a friend, and I said, oh, I hate to sweat. And I'm like, well, I know I hate to sweat, but I do need to do something. So I said, well, what do I like to do? I don't like walking on a treadmill because it's monotonous. I don't like lifting weights, but I do like to dance. I can dance all day. I used to, in college, I would go to the clubs and dance. So they had Zumba classes, and I just started going to the Zumba classes. I started out in the back, but then I realized, well, I can't, because the instructor was so short, I couldn't see her. Literally, I couldn't see her. So I kept gradually moving myself to the front to the point now, like to this day, I'm still going to Zumba. So my first step was, or my next step, excuse me, was adding in that physical activity and something that I like to do. And Zumba was it for me.
Oh, that's amazing. And that is right. Sometimes you don't have to do all the things. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to do, but if you like to dance, dance. So finding what you enjoy and doing it. So, and then with the exercise, you started seeing yourself lose more weight. Now, did you start tracking your weight at that time, or were you still just kind of, we're just going to see how this goes type of a phase?
Yeah, that's when I don't know if I wasn't tracking it as intensely, but I know I was tracking it some because I had the heart rate monitors. I would wear those because I was trying to learn more about fitness and physical activity. So I had my Fitbit and was using that religiously. So that's when I really started to track my weight.
Oh, okay. Now, how did you find tracking? What was that challenging for you at any point?
Yes. So with tracking, the tracking itself is easy. I'm very good at collecting data. It is my thoughts about what I track that I had to work on.
Mm,
So if I weighed myself and then my weight went up, instead of thinking, oh, this is just data. Okay, what happened the day before? At the beginning, I would beat myself up. Oh, you're a failure. Why are you even doing this? Huh? Now, literally, if my weight goes up when I weigh myself in the morning, I'm like, what happened yesterday? Instead of like I reflect on it. So what
mm,
happened yesterday? Is my period about to come? Did I have more salt? Did I not really sleep well? Like I can now ask myself questions, but at the beginning, it wasn't like that. I could not have weighed myself every single day because I had so much negativity around what my weight was in this whole process.
mm. So how did you change your mindset about that so that you weren't, like you said, beating yourself up anymore?
A lot of it was I would lose weight and then I would want to see the change. Like I would like to look at that graph and see, oh, what was my highest weight? Well, I didn't track my highest weight because I was ashamed of it.
Yeah.
So I never had it down. So I would have these low weights when I was doing good, but then I never actually had the higher weight. So that was one thing. I actually wanted to see what was happening. So that curiosity helped. But then I started coaching. There was like a lot of coaches that I was working with, and I had some health coaches that were giving me advice about just kind of deal with my emotions and how, and it wasn't just about weight. Throughout all this, I was learning to listen to how I spoke to myself, because that was a major thing as to why I gained weight in the first place. I had, and still occasionally had a really bad negative self talk. So I think part of me working on that negative self talk that I had, it helped me to be able to actually just see it as a number versus as this moral failure in myself.
That's amazing. I love it. So you need to learn how you talk to yourself. You
Yeah.
need to change how you talk to yourself, which is amazing. And we all do this. We all tend to like beat ourselves up, and eventually we got to get to the point where like, well, what is happening? What is happening right now? How was last week? And be ready for that. So that's wonderful. So now I know you said you weren't necessarily tracking, so you weren't sure how much you lost, but were there any other challenges that started to creep up as you continued your weight loss? And how many years do you think it took for you to lose the 100 pounds?
I lost, so the way my weight loss was, I would lose it in 20 to 30 pound episodes. So for me, I really started probably about 2017, 2018. And I recently, last year, lost another 30 or so pounds, which got me to the 100. And I've been able to maintain that since then. So one big hurdle for me was all this was during medical school and residency. So knowing how to, because I had that literally like first year of medical school, second year of medical school, and then that first year of residency, I'm putting a pause on all that. Like I'm just trying to survive. And when things got a little lighter, then I could be, a little bit more aggressive, a little more tracking, things like that. But learning how to just literally put myself into maintenance, find some foundational things I can do and not go back to my old habits, but finding some newer habits that I can just do to maintain for a while. So that was a big deal. But there's also still that diet mentality. I remember I did a diet with my classmate. We went to a wellness center and they had us drinking milk. Well, I never really drank milk before. I didn't even know I was lactose intolerant until I was on that diet and I got super sick. And that taught me that I am not a diet girl. Diets were made for the person who made that diet. They can be a guideline, but it's not something you can just, hand out here, do that. No. So that was one of my bigger things, trying to follow somebody else's plan versus doing what I did before, just listen to what I needed.
I like that. Say that one more time. The diets are for the person who made the diet.
Literally,
Yeah.
that's their diet. That works for them and their body, but that might not translate to you or to me.
Mhm. I love it. So, you mentioned that during stressful times, you are able to maybe maintain by just picking like some like healthy habits. Were you,
Mhm.
because I understand internal internship was rough for me too. And so, how many habits do you think you had, or was there just one or two you kind of focused on during that stressful period?
Yeah. Literally a few. It was, do you have water? So even to this day, behind my computer is my water bottle. Before I walked in here to do this interview, I made sure I had water. So it was making sure I always had water with me at all times and having a vegetable. Like,
Mm.
can you eat a vegetable with at least 2 meals?
Mhm.
And can you move your body, even if it's not Zoom, but even if you're just walking around? And because I track my steps, can you at least get your step goal at least 5 times per week? If I can do that, then that's it. That's all I'm doing.
I love it. I love it. Because sometimes we feel like when we're in a stressful period, we just kind of give up on things. Like we just kind of not do, we just stop doing everything basically because we're in that stressful period. But if we can just choose one or two things that we can do, a healthy habits just to focus on, like you said, I'm going to have water today, or I'm going to eat a vegetable today. You don't have to be perfect, which is really important. Now, do you have any affirmations or any sayings or quotes that you use to help with just to kind of help with your encouragement and kind of staying motivated?
So anytime something happens, I'm always like, well, you didn't plan your meals, but that's okay. You're going to plan it, whatever. So I might say whatever the statement is that might not be as affirming, but that's okay. And then I continue with another statement. If there's some, like I talk about eating pizza all the time, and this isn't really an affirmation, but it's just a way I kind of trick my brain. I have been eating the same pizza that I say I want to eat for probably about a month and a half. So anytime I want to eat pizza, I'll say, oh, you know what? I'm going to eat it tomorrow. I already have my meal plan. I'm going to eat that pizza tomorrow. And it's funny because when I first got married, my husband was like, "You've been talking about this food all the time." I'm like, I know, because even through all this, I still think about those old foods that I used to eat.
Mhm.
That craving is still there. So, as a way of me calming the craving down, I just say, "Oh, I'll just eat it tomorrow." And usually that calms me down enough to say, "Okay, we're gonna get it later. No worries, no big deal, no scarcity. We're good." And I just forget about it.
I think that's great. So you're like, this is not a scarcity mentality. It's not like
Mhm.
we're going to eat pizza again. It's just like, no, I have my meals already set up. We don't want to let it go to waste. I'll just eat it tomorrow. And then maybe tomorrow comes, you're like, I don't think I want pizza. I think the meal I planned.
Yeah.
So I can see how like it's taking you a month to get this pizza that you're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay.
So I love that. So get rid of your scarcity mindset, knowing that there is abundance. So I love.
Yes. Yeah. I have to do that at buffets or
Mhm.
when I'm at like any kind of where there is no limitation on food, or when I can take a to-go plate, I'm like, oh, I'm getting all the food. But then I say, you know what? I'll eat it another day. I'll come back and I'll eat it another day. Or if it's not something where I can, like a restaurant I can go back to, I was like, oh, it's fine. I had this, what I had, this is good. Or if I take another plate, oh, I'll just eat it for lunch another day. So I have to really talk to myself when I know there aren't those already pre-prescribed limits. I have to put those limits in with my thoughts and words, or already like making my plate or having my husband kind of help me out with it, or telling someone, oh, I don't feel like carrying it out, or letting them know ahead of time, I'm not taking a to-go box. Don't let me do it.
So I think that you brought up a good point because the good thing is you have your support system. You have your husband. You mentioned that you may tell the person who you're there, you're like, listen, I really appreciate you, but I'm not taking it to go box. Do not put this in my hand. Have you ever come up with people who don't take no for an answer, that they're really persistent with like giving you food or maybe asking questions like that's all you're gonna eat? Like how did you overcome that if that's the case?
Yes, that's a great question. So I got that all the time. And at first it was very difficult because I am a people pleaser. I want to make everyone around me feel good. And to say no to something could make them feel bad. So one of the things is I just tell them, oh my gosh, I'm so full right now. I don't need anything. Or, you know what? Sometimes I take the to-go plate and I throw it away. Like I just throw it away. That's it, period. Like if I don't feel like, if I don't have the energy I'm already trying not to eat all the food. And now I'm trying to get this person not to give me the food. Okay, put it on the plate. And then before I get home, I throw it in the trash. But I normally, most of the people around me know who I am, and they know that I am not trying to hurt their feelings. And I tell them in the nicest way. I don't have to say, oh, I'm on this health journey, blah, blah. I say, I am stuffed to capacity. If I eat one more thing, I am going to be sick. I cannot eat anything else. Thank you so much. This food was so delicious. Thank you. Oh, I savored it so much. A lot of times people just want to know that their food was good to you. Like you enjoyed it. You enjoyed the experience. So I'm giving you that without me actually having to carry that food home with me.
That's important. That's totally important. And I do the same thing. For my birthday, my office had given me a whole cake. Literally, no one took like pieces of this cake. They gave me a whole cake. I am a single woman. I was like, what am I going to do with this cake? So I left it in the refrigerator for a couple of days. Then trash day came and I'm like, well, you got to go. I didn't eat the cake. So, but no, I definitely agree with you. Sometimes you just got to like, let it go and just be like, thank you so much. But bam, I'm going to have to let it go because you have to continue your lifestyle. You have to keep moving forward. So, oh, thank you so much for coming and just sharing your story and just your journey, your health journey, lifestyle journey. For those people who may be listening who are maybe struggling to get started with their weight loss journey, is there any advice that you have for them?
Yes, I would say start small.
Mm-hmm.
So start with looking at what you're drinking, seeing where you can add in some more water, making the water easy to get, like literally I have a water bottle with stickers and I just make it fun in that way. So find ways of making the change fun. And overall, you want to add before you subtract. So add in the water. If you want to add in a few vegetables here or there, see and eat what you like. Don't start saying, oh, I'm going to have a spinach salad every day if you don't like spinach. No. So try to eat what you like. And try to do it 1 or 2 times a day. Start there. And maybe not telling everyone about your journey because then everyone's going to give you advice. You do what you need to do for your health. They will see the results of that when they see it.
That's true. The last thing you need is for somebody to be like, nitpicking your health journey, be like, oh, that's it? That's all you're doing? You're only just drinking water? Like, yeah, sometimes you have to keep things close to your vest. And when they ask you, they can be like, oh, you're losing weight. What are you doing? Well, I'm doing the baby steps. I'm starting with water, starting with this. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes you got to hold on to some things so that people don't tear you down and make you feel bad. So thank you once again. How can people work with you? How can they stay connected with you if they would like?
Perfect. Thank you for asking. So you can follow me on Instagram. I just changed my name. It's Brew Wellness Collective. So Brew, my last name, BREW, Wellness, spelled normally, and then Collective. So Brew Wellness Collective on Instagram.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you all for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you all next time.